intercept. To the desert then. Round 2 of the championship, and when everybody puts their cards down on the table, you have to ask yourself one question. How good are you at finding qualifying? How good are you at putting everything together, which is so vital for racing action like we have today? It's not going to be the easiest challenge. It's not going to be one of those where you're going to sit back, relax, and enjoy it. This is going to be 125 laps of tough, grueling racing here at Phoenix Raceway. Second round of your Crest Autosport IndyCar Series, live on Crest Autosport TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and do everything you need to bring yourself into play today and keep yourself up to date with the action that goes on here with this fantastic series. Today, of course, the second round is brought to you by Apex Tracks, the motorsport and motor racing circuit wall art racetrack sculpture makers who manufacture using Formula One and motorsport-inspired rapid prototyping technologies. That goes alongside Track Racer, 603 Autosport, Digital Motorsport, Esports Sim, and the GP Box on top of that. I'm Jake Sparey. On producing for us today is William Foyle, as we bring ourselves into what is a very important second round of the championship. Phoenix is the sort of circuit that is going to be different from what it was one season ago. It's a different, updated build of Phoenix compared to the first view that we had of it, meaning that the start-finish line has moved through turns 1 and 2. It would have been just before the dogleg. So makes the dogleg turn 1, then technically you got a 2 and 3, and then you got a big turn 4 to finish out the circuit. So that will be what is worth today. Of course, next week will be Auto Club, a very fast circuit for 80 laps, but 125 today. Most laps on the calendar all season long, 125. So this is going to be absolutely one of the quickest laps that you are going to see over the course of the season. It's going to be a long road to that Indianapolis 100. And of course, we are just looking to try and see who's got the form from this start of the season, moving all the way towards the very end when this championship reaches conclusion at Indianapolis. Of course, the winner of the championship is going to get themselves a wonderful prize presented by Apex Tracks, which of course will be a sculpture of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to pin up on the driver's wall. And of course, you've got plaque prizes as well, provided to the top 3 drivers of the championship, and the winner of the Indianapolis 100, provided by Uncle Luke's sign and sticker shop. But this is how the fans going in, and what will surprise a lot of people is the fact that Dave Steadman, who did win the opening of the championship, does not have the championship lead coming out here of Homestead Miami. There are bonus points on offer for having the fastest lap, pole position, and the most laps led. That is 1 point each. It's 28 points for second position, and with all 3 of those going to Tim Stroh, it means that the T&D drivers are first and second, 61 points between the 2 of them as they stand pretty well stead. You've got Tice Barons right there in third, and Stephen Degrevalia in 4th position overall after a wonderful drive, getting on the right side of the cautions in the 603 Autosport car. You got the likes there of Alex Everett, who could only manage 6th position, but 14 drivers who put themselves in for the opening race. We've got about 13 here for the second race going forward, and we are about a minute and a half away from getting ourselves over towards qualifying, and the single track qualifying that'll be coming into play. A little look though at the team standings out there will be worth keeping an eye out on here. This is the championship for those teams who have 2 drivers in the field for them, which means T&D Racing is certainly one of them. 61 points. They dominate at the top after a 1-2 finish, with ALP Motorsports in second. The team combination there of Alfredo Morales and Leonardo Pauletta, and then the Crest Autosport with Apex Tracks team, which has itself, of course, Alex Everett and Ollie Peters, try and put to the very limit of what is capable. But what we do know is that today is going to be a very important battle
And the challenges that these drivers are going to face are going to be very, very monumental. This track is certainly going to be all about what can you do and what can you find out there on track. We'll see just how important this sort of run is going to be today. Inigo Mardones there for the Necchi Racing team is down there in the pits and is just getting themselves through. Dave Steadman making that run then on the what is effectively the back stretch, which used to be the front stretch, moving through 4. You can see how close you're going to have to get to the wall today in order to put yourself right up at the very, very top. So with that being said, we are just going to move ourselves into play and bring ourselves in through. So we are just going to jump away for a couple seconds as we move to qualifying.
Qualifying, a very important challenge then, and a foray that moves forward. Logan Egan then will be the first one out there. They run by order in the championship, and the work that needs to be done in terms of their laps could not be any more stated than it is at this point in time. You can see here already on the opening lap through the dogleg, and now trying to make the challenge, moving through this very, very aggressive turn 2 and 3, and then you got that final run of 4, working the backstretch, 6th gear going through, struggling a little bit with understeer. Everyone does here around this circuit, and these first times already coming in on the board, a 19.491, and deciding just the one is going to work today, and that should be enough to make a lot of work happen out there on those opening times. Inigo Mardones then will look to try and counterbalance that and get everything sorted. We'll see what car number 17 is going to be finding then. I do apologise for some of the audio issues that we had there earlier on there as we go through now into gear up this lap for Inigo Mardones, and he tries to get this second lap. Now here's what's something that's very important here. It's going to be a case of when they cross the line, they already put a lap on the board, so they only get the one lap to go absolutely on it like a car bonnet and put it all together. Moving through for, can Inigo Mardones find a time better than 19.4 to 19.382? Pretty well done there, so able to improve to the tune of about 1/10 of a second there with that lap time. Pretty solid work then making itself known. Ollie Peters had himself the issue at Homestead. Likes this circuit here, Phoenix. Did really well. Took pole last time we were here. Is he going to be able to shock the system once again and put that Crest Autosport with Apex Tracks car right up on it? We'll see what his one lap's like through the dogleg here. And really, you've got to be absolutely there. Try and cover down as low as you can. Use the circuit. Use it. You're not going to have much to work with during the race, and we've seen those lines be really aggressive there coming through and looking to get that run through. Keeps it nice and narrow. That is a 19 flat and 090. That puts Ollie Peters up there at the very top, and he will look to try and make that push, try and get a second lap going. Fran Herrera is really going to try and get everything sorted as well. So Ollie Peters going for his second lap does improve to an 034. So he's even quicker out there on his time. And Fran Herrera then is next up and going for an attempt. It'll be this next lap that he will try and get it all sorted together. And as he puts himself then into view, this is the all-important lap that he needs. Going through 1 and 2, Fran is ever dependable at finding a result. And we'll see what the RDR Lagoon car can do moving through in turn number 4. Is this going to be a time that can bridge a little bit of a gap? It's a 4.75. It is good enough then for what is third position at the moment, but we'll still try and go for another lap and see if there is a phase of improvement that is there. Looking to make that run then through the left of 4, and all of them left-handers, of course, and on that run through, passing the cactus there of the stand, it is good enough to move up then to second position. A 19.237 is there. Alfredo Morales, though, on a lap. What can the Venezuelan find? Making that run through 2 and then through 3 as you try and really ratchet up the opening attempts there in 6th gear. Really trying to keep that all nice and neat. Some will flick to 5th, others will opt to stay in 6th. An 0.71 is a great start from Morales, and we'll see whether this second lap is going to be one that works out in favour. Making that charge, looking and hoping that this is going to play out the way that he would absolutely want it to, and then coming towards the line, it is going to be an 0.13 to take the pole at this stage. 0.02 of a second says Morales is on top at this point. Ben Bennyworth, though, onto a lap and hoping that his lap is going to be absolutely there in the track racer car as he dives through 3 and now makes that run towards 4. How good is the opening lap going to be for him? He knows better than anybody else that he has been pretty much knocking on a couple doors and saying he has the potential for podiums, has the potential for victories out there. He's just got to pull it all together. 4th position on that first time there, a 19.255. Good enough then to get things sorted. But here comes the charge from Bennyworth, moving through, trying to get that squared up nicely. Moves faster than Fran Herrera with a 2.15. So good enough then, the third fastest with that attempt. Pronk is next, who really struggled in the race last week at Homestead with tyres that fell off, and that was always going to be an element of issue out here today, that it was always going to be about tyres. And now can he put himself through in what are colder conditions? That's an 0.98 opening lap. Every reason to be excited with that opening attempt, but can he find an extra 1/10 of a second to jump himself above Peters and above Morales? Moving through 3 and 4 once again, and on that charge to the line, it is an 18.966. It's good enough to get up to the top by 0.5 of a second there or thereabouts. Absolutely flew he did Jeremy Pronk, and that is good enough for the top at the moment. But Alex Everett is trying to get his lap together down in 5th gear, trying to really attack through the revs and give himself something. It's a 2.27, good enough for 5th place to start. Would definitely like an extra 10th to really work with, because he has been struggling off the start of the season. The qualifying results haven't necessarily been there, neither has the race pace, and as he dips 2 under the apron, he's really got to push for it, trying to take everything he can, but the lap is still slower, and by such remains then in 5th position for that one. Leonardo Pauletta then is next, car number 97. Looking to gear up this first lap, and hopefully it is going to be nicely sorted for him as he runs through the long run of 2 and 3, looking to really attack coming to 4. And if this works in a way that you would say Pauletta would like it to, then it's going to be some really solid work. That first lap goes 4th, down by 1,000th on Ollie Peters, but he needs 600s. We've seen that sort of improvement on the likes of Jeremy Pronk. Will it be similar from Leonardo Pauletta, who makes the run? Going through 4, is this going to be enough to get up an improvement? Believe it or not, it was an 0.53, so it wasn't quite enough to make it happen. Stephen Degrevalia, who in the 603 Autosport car last week was his first ever iRacing League race, and what a way to take 4th. But can he find some magic here at Phoenix? 19.213 was his best time in practice, and he's gearing it up right now for this set of lap that he's trying to set and put on the board. So we'll see what it looks like for Degrevalia as he runs through, trying to maximise. This is the tough corner though. You're going from 317, 295 at its slowest through that section. There's a 19.109 from Degrevalia, the Belgian, with a great opening lap as he gets it sorted. Grabs the apron though coming through on the second lap. That will scrub some speed, and that could be no improvement then on the second attempt round. And he gets a lot of apron going through and trying to carry as much as possible. Lap doesn't work, and as such has to stay where it is. Thijs Barendrecht, though, what a driver. The reigning champion said he hasn't had a lot of confidence today coming into Phoenix. It's been a tough bit of work to try and get this all sorted, but if anyone can, it's him. Car number 1 making that run through, and an 0.62 to start is good enough for 5th place. Is this going to be even better, though, on this second lap as he tries to really keep it going? You only scrub about 4Ks going through that opening section, turn 2 and 3, but into 4 now, really dipping low, trying to carry as much as possible. A wiggle on the exit, costs it down to an 0.63 second lap, so stays in 5th at a track where track position is so vital. Now, Dave Steadman managed to pick up the victory last time out when we were racing at Homestead Miami. He has certainly turned up with form, and is he going to be in a position where the form book plays into his hands? We'll see what he can do in car number 74. He was 3rd in the championship last season, and he certainly wants to really find the magic formula like he did last time. Here comes the opening lap to put it together. It's a 19.008 and good enough for 2nd on the first attempt, but he's still down by 0.04 of a second to Jeremy Pronk. He's really got to make this second lap count, does car 74, if he wants to take the pole at a track where it is so crucial to do so. Right up against the wall. It's an 8.97 from Dave Steadman. That is magical to go 700ths clear, but he still has the qualifying maestro to deal with. Car 44 of Tim Stroh, a driver who knows what it takes to put the car on top, who knew that he needed all the bonus points and managed to get them last week. Is he going to be in a position where he's able to manage that this time as he runs through 3, gets himself onto the former front stretch, and now has the long expanse of 4 to try and work with? How is the first lap looking in comparison? It's a 1:41. It's way down. It's 8th position for Timothy Stroh, and he'll need to find a rabbit out of the hat if he wants to put himself up there with his T&D teammate Dave Steadman. They'll make the run down into 4 again, and can Timothy Stroh put the car on top? It's a 9.71. It's good enough for 3rd fastest. A good effort from Timothy Stroh, but it is Dave Steadman who puts the car on top. What an important qualifying that proved to be. Pronk setting the early pace, but the 2 T&D cars are certainly showing they've got something to work with here today at Phoenix. But let's get a little bit of confirmation as we'll move from qualifying over towards the warm-up here today, and we will just see how everyone is going to be stacking themselves up at Phoenix Raceway. Under the lights, we are going to go for 125 laps worth of action. It will be car 74 on pole position. Dave Steadman getting it done, an 18.897, and clear by 700ths thereabouts over Jeremy Pronk in 2nd position. Timothy Stroh will be there on the 2nd row in 3rd, with Alfredo Morales, good work from him, in 4th. Ollie Peters will go from 5th, along with Leonardo Pauletta in 6th. Thijs Barendrecht can only put the car 7th, with Stephen Degrevalia in 8th place, the Belgian. Then you got Ben Bennyworth and Alex Everett. They line up 9th and 10th for this one, with Fran Herrera in 11th, Inigo Mardones in 12th. And down at the back of the field then with his lap, Logan Egan in 13th position overall. It's going to be a tough challenge today, 125 laps. A track that is as small as this, just 1.61 kilometers here in Avondale, Arizona, here in the United States. It's going to be a really tough challenge, and it's a track where cautions can very easily come out because you don't have much room. You have 2 grooves at best. It's easy to clip some of the walls around this place, and I doubt that we're going to see 13 finishes, even with the 1 fast repair that is available for drivers here today. They know that this is going to be a tough and grueling race, and it's not going to be an easy one to find overtakes on either. You're going to have to settle. You're going to have to sit and wait for opportunities to arrive. And on top of all of that, you got that dirty air, which certainly plays havoc around Phoenix here today. And of course, what we do know as well is that if you want to set yourself on the right foot, this is the sort of race that pretty much will be the hardest race on the calendar. This will feel like a Monaco in a Formula One style sense of the word. This will be the tough race to try and get correct. Of course, they've got Long Beach later on in the season. They do also have the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, also to deal with. But that won't matter because Phoenix Raceway, or ISM Speedway as it often gets called as well, is going to be a very, very difficult place to go out there and get the result. That's why someone like Dave Steadman needed that extra bonus point from qualifying. It does now mean that he ties himself on points with Tim Stroh as those two try and work out how their season's going to go. There will also be those questions that we talked about during the qualifying run of Jeremy Pronk, whether his tyres are going to be able to last the distance in comparison to the likes of Steadman and Stroh, who are able to pick apart and get to a fantastic setup in comparison to a lot of the other drivers out there in this field. They know they've got cold conditions, which is going to help them out in terms of tyres, but this is going to be an aggressive track with aggressive lines being taken. Not enough time really for the tyre to rest around this circuit. You're always putting some form of load into the tyre, and as such, this is going to be a higher wearing circuit than what you will find at most other tracks over the course of racing today. But they know that this championship's a long one, and Leonardo Pauletta just proves how difficult it is out there on this track to put and piece everything together in the number 97 machine. Just getting it wrong, coming out of 4, just trying to push it. Just got a huge wiggle, actually, as the back just started to step out. The back stepped away, and that was his troubles. And Inigo Mardones will certainly be hoping for a bit of help today down in 12th position. The Necky Racing Team driver knows he's got a lot to do to get himself up nearer the front in the number 17 machine. But what we do know and understand is that if you've got track position, life's going to be a bit easier for you. Watch out for strategy to be played around cautions as well. This isn't going to be a guaranteed 125 and get it done like it was, for example, last season where we had a caution after just a lap when Ollie Peters spun the car from the race lead. And there he is right now out on circuit. But it wasn't a case, or I don't think it's going to be a case today, where it's going to stay entirely green the entirety of the way through. And this is going to make life very, very difficult for drivers as they go through. And another car there is Ollie Peters just about scrambles out of the way. Fran Herrera, I believe it was, who had just clattered into the wall. And it's very much a funnel. It's got that feel of you've got nowhere really to go when there's an incident, and a lot of cars could be using their fast repairs today. But we're just about 10 seconds away from what is an incredible start to this beautiful race at Phoenix Raceway. The second round of the championship that already marked themselves a sixth of the way through the season, and they know that this is not going to be easy here today. They know that they're in for a tough time, and it's all about who has got what it takes to hold off against a lot of elements to get it all done. Let us jump, though, onto the starting grid then. Dave Steadman will take the pole as he gets an 18.897. You can see Jeremy Pronk alongside the company. It will be Stroh and Morales on row 2. Row 3 consisting of Ollie Peters and Leonardo Pauletta. Tijs Barendrecht, the reigning champion, goes from 7th with Stephen Degrevalia in 8th position. 9th on the tally is going to be Ben Bennyworth ahead of Alex Everett there in 10th, with Fran Herrera 11th, Inigo Mardones in 12th, and 13th for Logan Egan in the number 19 machine. American will have a lot of work to do back there at the very end of the field. All drivers then are lining up behind the iRacing sedan safety car, and they will be taken around, I believe, for 2 laps here of Phoenix before they get themselves ready and going for 125 laps worth of racing. It is going to be a very tricky challenge here today. They all know what they need to do, and one of the big keys that they are going to be finding is that this is going to be about how the tyres last over the course of a stint. It's all right being aggressive early and building a gap, but then you're going to lose a lot of time because this is a track where you have to be so aggressive on tyres. The margins of how much time you lose drop very, very quickly. Pace car will dive in, so we only have 1 lap, not 2, and it will be under the pace of Dave Steadman, who will go early here, and we're going to get ourselves then to underway shortly. Green flag's going to come out to the air. Steadman's lost it. Steadman's lost it immediately as he goes through. He's going to funnel way back in the pack, and that's a big mistake to make early on here at this brilliant circuit. This was not what we were expecting as they go through. A spin early, Pronk lead. Stroh now challenging for the race lead as they go through. A lap already scored in the books, and what a shock to start it here at Phoenix, and I'm sure we weren't really expecting that. Stroh in second, it's Morales in third, Peters fourth, Barendrecht up to fifth, but here comes Tice on the outside trying to pick the place. As you can see, Stroh, there's Barendrecht working the high line. That's going to be a key today, and he gets it done. He moves up into fourth position. So work to be made. Everett now already in a fight with Dave Steadman, so he's got work to do in terms of his fight, and Everett's able to hold as we look a little bit further back down the pack. Bennyworth also having a challenge. He tried to get past Degrevalia, not going to work. So we got ourselves going. We are green somehow here at Phoenix. Nobody in trouble in the opening stages of this one. But now look at the attack from Tice Barendrecht. Up and under here, Alfredo Morales. And Barendrecht is storming here at this stage. Has he got enough to cover off the move entirely? Not enough through the dogleg as they now move through turn number 2 and 3. Is this going to be a case of it working here for Tice? Answer is yes, but here comes the second up and under. This time it'll be Morales searching. They're side by side in the background as well. Mardonis and Everett working hard, and look at that. Beautifully done. Barendrecht to third, and here comes Ollie Peters with the search as he tries to make the outside his home, and he not quite finding it. Issues as well for Degrevalia, whose damage has put it in the wall with contact, so no caution, but Bennyworth and Degrevalia have come together over the course of that last lap, and ultimately it's resulted in Degrevalia's race needing a fast repair. So disasters then early for Degrevalia, who's had to dive down into the pit in these early stages of the race. Pauletta on the back of Ollie Peters as he searches then for the top 5 here on lap 7 of 125 here in this race. The question will be whether he can manage a masterstroke to get himself through the field in these early stages. We know that some drivers like being aggressive early. Jeremy Pronk, still your race leader here at this point in time, but Pauletta's in the mix, but not quite there. There is Timothy Stroh, the gap about a quarter of a second when they cross the line. Stroh is definitely in range, but again, the emphasis on the bonus point is going to be crucial. Pass in the back as Dave Steadman gets through on Inigo Mardones. Moves up then into 9th position with that pass, and still under pressure from the Spaniard there just behind, but Inigo is not going to be in any position where it goes through. Let's take a little look then at the replay. This is what happened then with Dave Steadman's pass as he got himself down to the inside then, coming across the stripe through the dog leg and over towards what is 2 and 3, and able to manufacture the pass without any worries at all. So wonderfully constructed, wonderfully concocted, and Jeremy Pronk here now is still there. Caution comes out for Degrevalia, and it's a heavy wreck, huge wreck on the back, and it takes out Alfredo Morales from contention. A nowhere to go style of accident, and Morales absolutely thunders into one Mr. Degrevalia, and this is why you thank the heavens it's sim racing, because that was unsighted at a very, very fast rate of knots. Made contact at 260 kilometers an hour into him. Morales in trouble. Degrevalia having no love when it comes to this circuit, but Morales, what can you do from here? Going through, bang, in the middle of the road. Did not spot it, did not see it, was expecting the tow, and just drove straight into him. So Morales' race will have a fast repair, but it will also need a tow as well here on lap 12. And pretty much runners at the back diving in. So Ollie Peters is in the pits with Tice Barendrecht, Pauletta, Steadman, Mardones, and Herrera are all in the pits as well, looking to get a fresh set of tyres, a bit of fuel in the car, extend the stint out a little bit longer, maybe give themselves a handful of advantage. So Pronk then will lead this field, at least at the moment. It will be Stroh in second, Bennyworth stays out in third, Everett stays out in fourth, and Logan Egan will take track position and will move on to fifth place at this point in time. Barendrecht will come out with Dave Steadman, so Steadman really profiteering off of the pit stop, jumping the likes of Ollie Peters and Leonardo Pauletta there in that stop, and he gains himself 2 places for the troubles, which indicates to me that he's a little bit lighter on fuel at that stop and maybe only decided to take tyres there, trying to get himself a little bit of a track position jump. So that might be something worth keeping in mind if you're limited by when it comes to fuel or where it comes to tyres. That is often a question that we get to see. But the pace right now with Jeremy Pronk, the Dutchman, out in front at the moment, but then you got to figure out what do you do off the restart. Like, so Bennyworth and Everett are really going to have to work off of this restart to keep themselves in position and, crucially, work to challenge the likes of Stroh and Pronk. They don't want those two start running away in the early stages of this race. The bad news is, with that second incident for Degrevalia, his race is pretty much over after that hit because he had just come out of the pit. I think it's worth noting there when he had that incident. And we haven't necessarily seen, as off and away finally goes Morales, just how it happened. Degrevalia struggling with cold tyres coming out of the pits, moving through 1 and 2, and just about avoiding, I believe it was Logan Egan who was putting a lap down. Degrevalia had the air taken away from him, the back stepped out, and that's why he was thrown rear first into the wall. And as he tried to get the car spun around again, going again, that's when the caution came out. Decided to hold on the brakes as everyone came through, which was a wise decision, but ultimately he got driven into, and that's why his race was in trouble. Lights off, though, on top of the iRacing sedan safety car. We are going green this next time by as we start lap 16 of 125, and over 100 laps to go means it's still a long haul left as Jeremy Pronk will have control. One of the unique features about this circuit is that you do have one big ability to go as early as you like. It's a long run as they go through. As the pace car dives in, it'll be now down to Jeremy Pronk on when he chooses, when he wants to go. He can go any time from now if he wants. He'll be waiting for the green flag to give himself the off and away, and he goes now, and he will get a very nice jump there on Tim Stroh. Bennyworth was a little slow to react as they go through, and we are back underway here at Phoenix Raceway. The green flag live here as we race under the lights in the desert. So the work to be done then on whose tyres are working nicely in the early stages of this, and it looks like it's a nice get-go. Steadman already looking to pressure Barendrecht, and look at this, so much better when it comes to grip, trying to search around the outside of the reigning champion, not able to quite find what's needed. So you know what, I'm going to try and duck underneath and steal this one away. Not going to quite happen just yet, but this is the patience game that you have to play. You'll find drivers who are a little bit slower. Top 4 have already got a heat cycle in the tyres and maybe a little bit more alert to getting up to speed again, but Pronk is under pressure as Timothy Stroh looks to try and just stay in range and maybe look for an attack. Searches down low side, trying to get that lead away, but Pronk having absolutely none of it, staying low and just covering the middle of the track, doing exactly what's needed, as it'll be a little force high this time as they go through. Logan Egan now dropping positions backwards in 5th position. He drops one to Barendrecht, who got the run around the outside, and now it'll be Steadman's turn. Try and get this sorted, and Dave Steadman is going to get that move done on Logan Egan, who now starts to fall ever so slightly back, but battle for the lead. Stroh down the inside. Pronk's going to get the run coming out, and where do you go if you're Ben Bennyworth? He had the fullest of tables, a banquet in front of him, Pronk holds around the outside, and there's a little bit of contact between Bennyworth and Stroh as they go through the dogleg. That opens the door for Everett to go to the inside, and it's close pack racing. Great racing here from Phoenix as Bennyworth is shuffled back into fourth position, and lucky there is no aero damage on the front of his machine, and very fortunate that they're both still in the race at this point in time. Inigo Mardones then very slow as he comes through. He had a little grab of the apron coming out of 2, and that's why he's dropped behind the likes of Morales and Herrera. Of course, Morales a couple laps down, so it's not necessarily fully behind, but it's still going on here. Front 4 slowly forming into 2 packs of 2 here. The work that's going to need to happen from Barendrecht and Steadman to close down this group could be key to how this race factors out in the long and the short. Through then to complete another lap onto the 24th revolution. They'll have 102 laps to go at this point, and just behind you see there in the back of shot Steadman having a look at Barendrecht, who just shut the door there on Steadman's attempt to go through, but he'll have another look here, potentially into 4, and he gets right down underneath. Up the track will migrate Thijs Barendrecht, and he does just enough, and a few indeed he'll be probably whispering to himself, because that got very close. Now Bennyworth's also got a run here, and you can see just how you need to be head alert as you go through this circuit. The Fantastic 4 out in front, and then 2 giving chase just behind as they continue on their race through then 4, and now looking to try and get things sorted. Well, through, 2 and 3. Looking to try and get things sorted again. Leonardo Pauletta, his race certainly far from over. He's trying to chase down Ollie Peters in 7th position, trying to get a place away, and not quite having it at this moment in time. He'll be looking for a chance to attack down low as they go through the dogleg and into 2 and 3, and he'll get that picked off without any issues at all. Nice pass, nicely worked, but now it's again back to the front 4. Here in this race, Pronk, your leader, Stroh in 2nd, Everett is 3rd, and Ben Bennyworth is in 4th position. You have to consider that they'll probably want to make a move for a bonus point not too far from now. Bennyworth thinking about the inside. It was just that, a thought, nothing more, nothing less, as they run through and look to try and get another lap sorted then up on the board. And the work that is being done could be so very vital between now and the end. They can't guarantee that this race is going to fall into their hands. We got ourselves so much work still to go yet in this one, but Pronk's just holding his ground at this point, and Stroh is very happy to follow. They are pretty much keeping it level pegging there with Alex Everett and Ben Bennyworth, but this is the sort of day where you've got to capitalise on strategy, and because these races are medium distance, all of them, that's going to be good. Here comes Steadman down the inside, but again, Barendrecht is so good on the high line. He's able to cover it off and get the slingshot through the dogleg to cover him off through 2 and 3 out there on track, so he's doing everything he needs to and a bit more. Interesting battle for Logan Egan, though. A little bit further back, 9th, 10th, and 11th. He's got Fran Herrera and Inigo Mardones for a bit of company. 2 Spaniards trying to get back past the American, and it looks like at this point in time, all about patience play. As there's a little slide from Logan, who's now going to have to be looking very much behind. Here comes Herrera down low, looking to try and pick this one off and away through 3. And if he can get the run into 4, he's got the chance. It was ahead ever so slightly, but ultimately, in terms of this battle, they remain too wide. That high line is starting to work out here in Phoenix, and this is what you see. Couple lines certainly work here and certainly work there, and you've got to be alert to what the car is doing and how it's reacting at any given point in time. And they finally worked themselves single file out there on circuit. But Pronk starting to just stretch his legs a little bit at the front, the gap up to 0.4 of a second, and he's giving himself a bit of room, and this is what we like to see. If you give yourself an element of when you want to attack, settle into the rhythm, he's certainly doing that right now in comparison to Stroh and Everett and Bennyworth, who are all holding on to the coattails, saying, please, I don't want to let go. This is the sort of track where letting go is the last thing on the mind that you want to be figuring out And now as they run once again through the dogleg and in towards this next section of road, it's going to be a case soon where they are going to be coming up on lap traffic. And that could be another huge factor today in this race. Small track, easy to get lapped. And that could be a huge difference maker in how today goes out. Bennyworth still on the back of Alex Everett, still trying to figure out what's the right move. And it seems like the right move so far was to stay out, because Barendrecht and Steadman are back 3 seconds off of the race lead, doing 19 threes out there. There's still 19 threes from Pronk, but at least at this point in time, he's not being caught. And that's crucial in comparison to those who he is there around with. And in terms of a long race, another little search to the inside from Ben Bennyworth, who just cannot find the magic formula. We said it would be difficult today to find passes. You need a huge run if you want to make it happen. And once again, he's on the wrong side of it at this point. Steadman and Barendrecht continuing on their charge as they look to try and get through. They're just keeping it stable to Pronk, but they're about 1.8 seconds back now of Ben Bennyworth. If they can get it within a second, you'd feel they've got elements and reasons to be happy with the way their race is going. And this is what they're trying to unlock, this sort of potential. If they can get themselves in the right position, they've got a real chance of making something happen. And this race is absolutely flying by at this point in time. We are already past lap 40 here in this race, on lap 41, and Barendrecht there in 5th position knows it's going to be a long, long championship if he's having to grind out a 5th position here today at the end. Alex Everett there in 3rd, trying to chase down number 44, Timothy Stroh, arguably the most talented driver in this field, as he looks to try and get through the German at this point in time. But they are losing ground to Jeremy Pronk, who is at that last check through over 3/4 of a second clear now. And this is slowly starting to break away from the field, and this is what you don't want to be seeing if you're in this race. You don't want this one to fall away. Barendrecht, by the way, is the fastest driver on track at the moment, and we've still got battling between Egan and Herrera back there in for 9th and 10th. 2 wide coming out then of turn number 3, and through 4 they go. Egan is again eager to defend the position as he fends off the 2 Spaniards, and is really benefiting here from one Mr. Alfredo Morales, 2 laps down just in front. He's just giving enough of a run where he's able to just cover off his differences and just keep himself in the fight at this point. They both run up to the 2 Spaniards, looking to try and charge and challenge and attack and give themselves what they need, but ultimately it's not quite there just yet, and a little bit of understeer off the exit of 3 certainly won't be helping as they look back underneath. Oh, Logan Egan getting so close to the back of Morales. It's opened the door up for Herrera as they go through the dogleg. And here comes the chance that there has been searching for. He gets it done. Little bit of help from the apron there as he grabbed 2 tyres underneath. But he is certainly held. And that is a good hold by that point as well. Egan not willing to give it up. But now you got Inigo Mardones there just behind. And Inigo going up high side, trying to get that work of the draft to play its role. And he's going to have to come up and under if he wants to get that pass. And once again, he is right there, trying to get himself in. But no dice initially. But come the end, that high line certainly not paying off there for Egan. And Mardones now gets himself to the inside. And he gets himself the place as Egan goes high. There's Alex Everett, though, as he goes through. So Mardones through then, gaining another place. But Everett still having to defend as they now deal with the traffic here in the back. And very soon, in the next couple of moments, they could be putting themselves into the lapsville. But look behind here, Jeremy Pronk. He's almost got a second. But Barendrecht has worked so hard to get almost to the back now of Bennyworth and Everett. Fastest driver in the field. And he is just chipping away a couple of hundredths every lap to the leader, pulling himself in. And this is where the hard yards are going to be won from Tijs Barendrecht, because he'll have to try and close up and make the gap happen. For the first time in this race, the lead goes out over a second. Then on lap 51 of 125, just the one early caution out there in the race so far has certainly put itself into play. I wonder if drivers are going to be starting to think about green flag pit stops and where they need to be in comparison if a caution were to come out. It's a nightmare of traffic to deal with next, because they've got Morales, Egan, Herrera and Mardones all to get by. And well, here's the first of them, Jeremy Pronk trying to go through. Bennyworth says, I am pitting in here on lap 53. He wants nothing to do with the traffic. He is going to dive in now and try and undercut everybody using the traffic to his advantage. It's a wise play from Ben Bennyworth, but Pronk, at least at this point in time, is certainly well positioned as he easily dispatched of the first one. But it has brought the gap down to 0.7 of a second as Timothy Stroh now brings himself into play. He should dive down low. He should get his opportunity then to go on through. And he just about will do. No, he won't. Here comes Everett down low. He's going to steal it away from him, is he? Oh, you bet he is. Alex Everett. Fortune favours the brave, and that was opportunistic behind there, Alfredo Morales. But here comes Stroh, back down underneath, trying to pick this one back off again. He's not going to get there, though. And all of that fighting has brought Baron Drecht onto the back. And this is what we see when great racing comes in. Now, what's crucial is that Ben Bennyworth's pit stop has come out just behind Baron Drecht & Co. So he is going to just see what he has to match just in front. And you can see how Stroh looking every which way to get around the green ALP machine. And has he been able to do so? He's not fully got it cleared. And now Baron Drecht's got to figure this out. We're going to go 3 wide here in towards turn number 2. And he's managed to do just about enough. And Stroh holding on to position. Now sees Baron Drecht with a monster run as they go into 4. He covers it off, though, there on the outside. And that is some wonderful battling between those two. You can't figure out how much closer you're going to get than that. This is all important, all needs, all battles at this point, and the gap has extended out now to 1.3 seconds here at the front of this field. Jeremy Pronk with the race lead, still has 2 to go with, but Bennyworth is back in the pits for a second time because he has clobbered the wall coming out through. In comes leader Pronk, but Bennyworth absolutely getting it wrong on the high line, has found himself just understeering out into the wall, and with his issue that he had, he will dive down in again, and his hopes of victory are dashed. Baron Drecht, though, this is now the fight for the race lead with for second position, with Timothy Stroh in what is an important battle out there on circuit here on lap 60 of this race. Baron Drecht will be able to go longer than everyone else, and look at that, they're going to dive low as Timothy Stroh, as they had to get around the returning to track Ben Bennyworth, and Baron Drecht now looking to try and get things done. Logan Egan also in the pits. Pronk now out and away, and will be looking to try and go through. Everett says from the race lead, I am pitting in on this lap, so he ducks down low and dives in. That will give the lead to Teish Baron Drecht then, who has worked very hard to get to what he needs, and now we've got a real game on our hands as we get ourselves fully in the stop cycle. At this point, you've got Egan exiting the pit, Stroh just hitting his box right now, and Baron Drecht will be able to go, you'd expect, for another 12 laps on top of what anybody else is expected to do. Get to about lap 70 if he should want it out there on circuit, doing 19.5s on that last run through. Steadman about 2 seconds back. Pauletta still out there. There is Stroh, by the way. He's just rejoined the circuit, and he'll be just behind Baron Drecht. And there's a big checkup for Ben Bennyworth. And what's crucial is he's way behind Jeremy Pronk, who has worked wonders in the stop and has done well. Stroh is really struggling on the cold tyres, and he'll need a couple laps to get them up to temperature where he can really go out there and attack them, because that was very nearly an understeer into the wall, which is so easy to do here at Phoenix. So that's definitely in the mind. We've got another driver down then in the pits as things stand right now. And just exiting the pit, is Alfredo Morales. So the lap traffic leaves, but Stroh now back there in 9th position over the course of this one. Barendrecht still your leader, though. You got Steadman, Pauletta. Then following that, you got Ollie Peters in 4th. Mardones in 5th. Herrera is in 6th. And then it is Pronk from Everett. And then you got Stroh. So work still needing to be done to chase down what is needed. But it is net at the moment. Jeremy Pronk doing all that's needed to. Barendrecht, a long way forward. There is Jeremy Pronk. He is the only driver not 2 laps down at this moment in time. That might be worth keeping in mind between now and the end of this race, as he very much gets close to the wall, coming out there of 3 and moving through the dogleg into 4. Mardones making things alert. I believe he's going to be diving into the pits. Oh, it's getting close between those two. God, they both wanted to get through. And Fran immediately apologising as he tried to get through. He just absolutely got himself paralysed by analysis there of what the car in front was going to do. Pronk, though, has had a mistake, and suddenly here comes Alex Everett around the outside. He's going to pick off the move, so he'll take the net race lead. What happened to Jeremy Pronk as he went through? He had to really open up as he tried to get things sorted. But into the pits now will come Dave Steadman, so he makes his stop from what was 2nd position at the time as he goes through. We'll see where he falls out in number 74. How much less he'll have to take on the stop is going to be very interesting here. And into the pits will come Thijs Barendrecht, the race leader. The race on the line here with Everett, your leader. And behind now, Pronk falls behind Stroh out there on track. Pronk really struggling now out there as he tries to keep himself going and put himself into position. Pronk is ahead of Steadman, and Steadman goes around almost again. He's in the wall. He's in the wall. We stay green here, though, at Phoenix. Dave Steadman in the wall, and that might just be a caution. And it is. And what a time for it, as Barendrecht in the pit might just get himself the free card to get it sorted. Peters has just dived into the pits as well, and as they all get themselves out again, the question is going to be, how is this all going to sort itself out? Thijs does have the race lead, and crucially as they go through, it is going to be who is where. He falls back behind the safety car, and the second caution comes out for Dave Steadman, 2nd in the championship. Crucial in terms of how this goes. It'll be Everett in 2nd. In 3rd then, moving through, is going to be Ollie Peters, I believe, at this point. Pauletta as well, by the way, I believe is due to come in and make a stop. So Pauletta, through all of this, is up to 2nd, and he's done fantastically to go through. So it'll be Everett in 3rd, it'll be Peters 4th, Stroh now in 5th, and Pronk, who'd really struggled for a couple laps there, is now in 6th place. Herrera is 7th, and Inigo Mardones will jump back on the lead lap then in 8th place here in this one. So a huge shake-up. The second caution of the day comes out then, and it's Dave Steadman coming out of the pits, which throws that one going forward. He puts it in the wall, brings it to a stop on the racing line, and effectively the caution comes out. And that is massive. There you can see the back going away, slamming it into the wall, and a disaster coming into play. Now, interesting here. So, 3 dive into the pits. Morales, who is lapped down, won't really matter too much. But Everett and Pronk have decided they are going to come into the pits then and get their strategy back together again. So, they are going to try and run through the field. They think that we're only going to lose a couple of places. We're going to get fresh tyres. We're going to be on strategy with the likes of Barendrecht and co. And it's going to work out for us. So, that is going to be a big call, and they're going to have to make some big moves through the rest of this race to put themselves into position. This is what we love, though, about Phoenix Raceway, about this Crest Autosport IndyCar series on iRacing, is that anything can happen, and under the lights we've seen it. Restarts are going to be crucial in these cold conditions, on cold tyres. It's so easy just to loop the back end if you've not got the anti-roll bar and weight jacker in the prime position. I expect Ben Bennyworth might be diving down into the pits this lap as well, and he will be also tipping in on lap 74 of this race in his 72nd lap as he's 2 laps down. It's not going to hurt him to move to the back of the line. Same too for Logan Egan, who's a lap down. He's on the outside looking in. There's no lucky dogs in this series. So they will both come in and pit. But question on 97 now on Leonardo Pauletta, what he is capable of doing. Came in with his opportunities alert, and crucially had only just pitted on lap 71. So he made his stop, got himself back going, and my goodness, did the pit stop lottery play out in his favour. We'll see what he's going to be capable of doing here in the second position, see whether he could take potentially his first win in Crest Autosport. It's about, at this stage, 50 laps left in terms of racing, and the lights off of the pace car means we're going green this time by. They will resume with 50 laps to go, and Thijs Barendrecht with control knows he's got a lot of work to do. It's Pauletta, then Peters, then Stroh just behind. The race far from finished then here at Phoenix, and the question's going to be when you choose to go. Long hold from Barendrecht. He'll make him wait all the way to the corner, and he'll decide to go. Pauletta was alert to it. Someone who wasn't was Fran Herrera, and the gap immediately opens up. So work for Pronk and work for Everett as they will have to charge through. Barendrecht, though, with a good start, now has to keep himself in play. Immediately goes Stroh, though, past Ollie Peters as if he was stood still. And it's drama in the back. Herrera's around. Contact with Everett. And we have a caution again. They breed them, apparently, here. And Everett in trouble. And suddenly, a third caution here at Phoenix. And we bring ourselves back to another element of pacing. It was Fran Herrera in the wall on the outside. And Everett, trying to stay out of the way, just didn't register where Herrera was going to go. Pretty much read too much into the accident and drove straight into the back of him. You can see Herrera just holds his line in terms of he was always risking down, and Everett just wasn't quick enough to move either decisively down low or decisively high in order to make it happen. And now we have a third straight caution. There is the look from Alex Everett's viewpoint. That was not ideal at all. The good news for Thijs Barendrecht is it takes a couple laps off. Everett was able to drive it into the pits, and if he hasn't used his fast repair, then he should be good to get back going again. And I think it's not the end of the world, seeing as he was able to drive the car back. So he'll go to the back of the line. But more importantly than that, he should have an opportunity to really ratchet back through the field. He has done pretty well to keep himself in this race, and he still has a shot of victory, and that sort of instant is why the fast repair is there for drivers, to give themselves that chance to still be in this one. So Barendrecht can lop another 5 laps off. Pauletta still in second. Stroh on that restart, jumping up to third. Peters in fourth. Mardones now into fifth, and Pronk will be in 6th position. Fran Herrera will also be on the leading lap. He will join the back of the queue in 8th place with Alex Everett there in 7th, but they now have to go through all of the lap traffic as well as the cars in front if they want any shot of victory today here at Phoenix under the lights for this one. 3 cautions. It's not often that we get 3 of them in a series like this, and it has opened it up. Just the one retiree so far here today has been Stephen Degrevalia in the number 23. His issues were documented very early on as he found himself in the wall after contact with Ben Bennyworth, and then outside of that, spinning, coming out of the pits through turn number 1, causing the caution and grabbing Alfredo Morales, who is 3 laps down at the moment. Also 3 laps down is Dave Steadman, who had to take a tow as well as he put it in the wall coming out of the green flag pit stop cycle. And it's going to be a long, long day. Ben Bennyworth had to come in a second time to make a stop under green. That's why he's 2 laps down in this one. And there is Ollie Peters getting a little look down low then as he goes through. And I think this is fuel-saving tactic, so he could burn as much as possible over the course of the run. He was pretty much a passenger to Timothy Stroh going by. And he'll have to be a little bit concerned with Jeremy Pronk as well. Pronk, of course, who led the early stages of this race. Could he mastermind a recovery through the field, put himself in position, and give himself everything that he needs? As this point comes into view, we go through the dogleg, lights off again on top of the iRacing pace car, which means one thing and one thing only. we're going green this time by, and we'll be going green on lap 81 of 125. It will give us 45 laps of racing to go. And once again, Tijs Barendrecht will have control. Will Pauletta be alert to what he plans? You've got to be absolutely there. You've got to read and mastermind how much of a run that you can get. And, well, he's tucked up underneath, expecting to go at the corner once more. And I think if you're alert to it, you know you're going, but he stays high. He waits even longer this time, and he goes halfway through the corner. He'd expected people to go. He held them up for the longest of time, did the reigning champion, but we're back to green flag running here at Phoenix, and Stroh again gets a good run. He'll use the outside again, has to take 2 stabs through the corner, but it won't matter as he goes by Pauletta. Nothing you can do in the ALP car. That is second for Timothy Stroh, and that's why he leads the championship after 1 round. Ollie Peters under pressure as well. You've got Inigo Mardones there looking to move up into 4th. He had a very good debut showing at Indianapolis last season, and he'll be certainly hoping for more. But for the lead, Barendrecht versus Stroh. Stroh on the low side. Barendrecht is up high and trying to hold this one together and managing to hold this one together, but only for the moment, because 2 and 3 are going to come along again, and there's a big squeeze on that inside on Stroh, but Stroh, undeterred, is going to keep himself there. What brilliant racing for the race lead, but Barendrecht is able to hold it off and hold on to that race lead for just the sweetest of moments longer. At this point in time, it's still a long way though to the end, and fighting this hard this early might not be the key to getting it done. But again, Stroh showing he's got great natural pace as he tries to attack the reigning champion. Has to go the long way around, and he'll drop a couple tenths in the dirty air and try and pick it back up through the dogleg here on the run to that turn 2 and 3. Once again, Pauletta in 3rd. Peters having to really fight hard in 4th position with Mardones, and now Pronk back there as well. They've already dropped outside of the range of Leonardo Pauletta, so it's going to be a lot of work to get themselves back into play if they are even able to. But it's a race of 2, it seems, at the front of this field, and Barendrecht going high has opened the door up then for Stroh to get a really good run here on 86 as he tries to work it through 4 and pick it off. He's not going to get there again. Barendrecht's just covering everything off. He is very much just plugging holes at this point in time. He is making sure there is no way he's going to try and get through. It's like trying to deal with a sinking ship that's full of wormwood. You've got a million holes you've got to plug here against Tim Stroh, and it's not going to be easy. Either way, you try and keep that ship afloat, but he's able to cover it off. Another lap ticked off, but still, that group is starting to just get there. And the more that Barendrecht will have to defend around this lap, the more it could bring other drivers into play. Good work being done as well by Everett. He's on the back now of Dave Steadman and trying to rally himself back to Jeremy Pronk. He's only a couple seconds back, 1 second back of that in fact, but he's still got 3 cars to try and navigate a way by. So it's going to be a lot of work to get through, but if Everett's driving with the bit between his teeth and his engage mode, which he has certainly had time and time again, then he is going to be a tough force to stop here at Phoenix. Still though, we've got ourselves some great racing as we move on lap 90 of 125. Bennyworth's trying to get by Pronk here and say, well, you know what, I may be lap traffic, but come on, I'm quicker than this, and I'm trying to get myself into some position if something happens here. We're between a couple, if not all of the drivers out there. Not going to find anything though as he tried to get through. Gap now out at the race lead to almost 4 tenths to the Stroh. Backs off of it for a couple laps, but he needs to stay with Tijs Barendrecht, who will have the better tyres in comparison here. Stroh, of course, pitted a lot earlier than Tijs did and was unable to really pit and recover and do all those things that he's needed to do. So you've got to be alert to that. He's got opportunities knocking, and speaking of them, right now, Mardones has fallen right into the clutches of Pronk, who tries to go underneath, and Jeremy Pronk might just steal one away from the Spaniard. Bennyworth might follow here. He lifts out of it. Wise decision, because Jeremy Pronk now is through, and Everett might just follow as well. In the wheel tracks, they go through the dogleg. 5 of them all there, 2 of which are lap traffic, who are going to funnel to the back. Mardones has to stay high because Everett's low, and Everett moving through the field is going to jump up into 6th position. Ever so briefly, he'll confirm it through 4, and there's not much Inigo Mardones can do about that. The move is done. They've allowed a gap to Ollie Peters, who's trying to chase down the likes of Leonardo Pauletta, and suddenly Stroh's falling backwards into the clutches of Pauletta here, who's about half a second back of him now, so don't count 97 out. Leonardo Pauletta's car is looking good here over the course of this run. 1.2 seconds adrift of Thijs Barendrecht. He's got a real chance here of getting a strong points haul today with 30 laps to go at Phoenix Raceway. He knows what he's capable of doing. He's been fighting for wins before. Motegi comes to mind, but he is just having to lift off there as he comes through 4 once again, and now he's still there and still trying to close the gaps down that are so very desperately needing to be closed. There is Ollie Peters in 4th position. He's only 1.3 adrift right now with the likes of Barendrecht and co. He's got that opportunity, of course. He can put himself into play. Those big points will come in handy later on in the season. And today of all days, he wants to make up for what happened last time he was here. But Jeremy Pronk is there in 5th. He's about 2 seconds back. And looking at his times, he's not really catching anyone. So that's going to be awkward. Everett, too, not really catching. I think it's going to be down to who's got natural pace out there to try and chase this down. Barendrecht versus Stroh versus Pauletta versus Peters. It's going to be a top 4 race. Mark my words about it. Alex Everett, I don't think it's going to play much of a part, nor too Jeremy Pronk at this point. So, there is Jeremy Pronk in 5th. Just behind that, you've got Fran Herrera, who's trying to fight with Inigo Mardones. This is the fight for 7th and 8th, the last on the leading lap. And Fran's going to go the high side. He's got no fast repairs to play with. Caution! Caution! It's Morales. He's in the wall on the inside. Alfredo Morales finding contact then on the high side. Didn't make it with Logan Egan. He just went up the circuit, understeering like crazy. And through 4, Trama's come in. And I think there was contact, but it was a very heavy netco crash between the American and the Venezuelan who lives in Canada. And just like that, Alfredo Morales' day is done. He had already used his fast repair. So, Barendrecht has that field closed back in again. Stroh is 2nd, Pauletta 3rd, and a lifeline for those who are 5th and 6th in that race, Pronk and Everett. The 4th caution of the race. Barendrecht not happy that there's a caution. Thought he was home and away. But over lap 100, it is going to be a very, very big play that we find ourselves in. Barendrecht unhappy over the radio, but he knows that it's a long way yet. It's not a guarantee. Any result here today is not guaranteed. And Stroh, given another chance in car 44, is going to be a very tough cookie to crack in terms of holding him behind. Was able to do it early, but you know, this is where you've got to be really up to it. And a lot of drivers now are considering the pits. Everett is one of them. Inigo Mardones will also go for fresh tyres and will hope that the run on fresh tyres is going to give them a major advantage after that slow green flag run. Another thing to consider, the longer that they keep putting heat cycles in the tyres, the more that those tyres are going to go off. It's the most, I would say, intensive phase of a tyre's life cycle is dealing with going off on the restarts, that cooling and reheating. And that could be another case for Thijs Barendrecht to look around and say, well, this might not be exactly what I want. And drivers everywhere now are trying to do what they can. Stroh very aggressive on the fuel save here, leaving himself about 8 car lengths here to Thijs Barendrecht. Doesn't want to close up just yet. But this is where the race is made. You can see when everyone's come in for their last stop, it's 10 laps difference between Barendrecht and Stroh. And Stroh absolutely should be thinking about his fuel here, pitting on 61 of 125. He had to go over half distance on that tank. And he's really benefiting from a lot of these cautions. A huge net code, throwing out the 4th caution of the day. And this race might just come down to very, very slim margins here at Phoenix. Pauletta in 3rd could definitely have himself an opportunity. So too Ollie Peters in 4th. And Jeremy Pronk in 5th position, getting himself back onto the rear. It will have to be, again, another trip through the traffic, though, for the likes of Mardones and Everett. That'll be Egan. That'll be the likes of Herrera, which will be an overtake. So that is one bit of traffic and then a second in Ben Bennyworth. That is certainly going to be there. 2 retirees now from the race. It includes Alfredo Morales in that mixture too. And there he is. And in fact, I think he might just be able, with that hit, to be able to go off and away again, potentially. But we will soon see. Degrevalia, the other one, out of this race. But it's all down to this now. Lights should come off this time of the iRacing Pacing Sedan, and they do. We're going to go back to green flag running with 21 laps of racing action still to go in the desert. Who's played their cards right at it? Who's got what it takes to hold it off? Barendrecht's strategy has put him at the front. He's just got to drive 21 great laps and bring himself home and bring himself dry. He waited so long on the restarts. Does he dare go early this time? Because he's left a lot of room to the pace car here. He's leaving himself open to overtakes. You can only do it on the outside here as you get yourself back to green flag running. He's thinking about how he goes. He's got to be careful how he weaves as well. He doesn't want to put the power down when he's weaving, and now he goes halfway down the straight. That was about as much as we were expecting. We're going to go back to green flag running then here at Phoenix. 21 laps to figure it all out. And Ollie Peters has a great chance of moving up to third here with this one. He can't quite get it just yet. If he gets a run off of the corner, he might have a chance from 3 in towards 4. Stroh's really ratcheted on, though, here to the back of Thijs Barendrecht. He hasn't got it entirely clear, and he's really bringing himself back into play here. Thijs will have to defend so hard, having to go high a little bit. Stroh was in 2 minds of whether he wanted to go through with that or not, and it's ultimately a case of nothing really happened, and we're going to have to continue here on this fight. Through 4 and on towards the dogleg once again. And this now becomes a case of Stroh trying to open it up. Can he prise it open on the inside on 107? He can, but Barendrecht's holding resolute on the outside as he's done so many times before. Watch out for Pronkin Fit as well. He's got eyes on an overtake on Ollie Peters. He doesn't quite get it. But still, though, you'd say it's about the front. And now to the outside tries Timothy Stroh. He's looking every way to try and get this done. He might have just picked up an up and under trying to get this sorted. Has he got it again? No. Barendrecht again proving why he is elite in these machines. He is really defending for all he's worth, and it is a lot he's trying to get. Stroh, late as you can, back underneath on 109 as he goes through 2 and in through 3, and now to 4 they'll go again. Not quite able to make it happen, but this is really the finest margins that we are seeing here. Pauletta back there in 3rd. 4th is Peters. 5th is Pronk. Fran Herrera still doing enough in 6th. Everett and Mardones are non-factors. They're 3 seconds back in this race. They're not going to get there. The gamble's not paid off. But now you can see Pronk all over the back of Peters. He definitely wants to move up to maybe 4th, maybe 3rd, but he's suffering through dirty air. And again, you start to see this. That's Ben Bennyworth just behind, who's maybe a little bit of a factor. But again, Stroh is there on lap 111, moving through and just trying to search different lines, see whether he can find a weakness and how close to the wall do you want to go. If you're Thijs Barendrecht, if you are searching for opportunities, again, it's another look low, but it's again covered off. But this is the finite margins. You see, they're running nose to tail here at Phoenix. They're really trying to give everything they can. And once more, it opens up for Thijs. He gets himself 2 tenths at the line. And they're not really throwing everything down at this point. They know they've still got laps in the back pocket if they need it. But Stroh's going to have to try and find something if he wants to get by the reigning champion. This is why he's the reigning champion. He started 7th on the grid today. And he's up there thinking that victory is possible. Nothing is impossible when Thijs Barendrecht's behind the wheel. And we're moving soon to the final 10 laps. There'll be 11 to go up the line, and Pauletta's slowly clawing his way back into this fight. He's so good around 10, 15 laps. And this is what you have to be careful of. Him coming back into this race and making something happen when ordinarily It might not. It's been a tough day today. It's been 4 cautions. It may very well be 5. And they know that a caution inside the final 5 laps will end this. But Barendrecht starts to stretch those legs out and gets the gap to about 0.3 of a second. He's just managing enough against Timothy Stroh. He's just doing enough. Keep himself in. Jeremy Pronk still searching for that 4th position here, trying to get by Ollie Peters. He's just not finding it here. Ollie's doing well about enough as he just clings on to Pauletta's slipstream to give himself what is needed, as we are now inside firmly the final 10 laps of this race. Ollie Peters still having to defend that 4th position. The lead gap now almost at half a second, but I think Stroh's trying to save something, and you're going to have to dig down deep if you're going to bring yourself back in for this. It's starting to slowly fall away here around this place, and now you're starting to think, well, what more can I do? How much wick can I burn to bring myself up there and get that pass? It was a resilient defence from Thijs Barendrecht that's given him half a second now as Stroh tried to take everything out of the tyres to get through. But this has been a good lap this time here as he's clawed back quite a bit in the opening expanse of the turns of 2 and 3. But he loses it all again through 4. And that's where he's losing most of the time. It's through 4 where it's mostly going out there at this point, as it's 6 laps to go. Right now, Peters still holding off Pronk and Herrera at this point in 6th place. Both doing good jobs. They can see the map on screen. That is what they're dealing with out there on circuit. A gap of half a second, and it is very much tit for tat at this point in time between Barendrecht and Stroh as we are inside the final 5, and a mistake from Barendrecht. A mistake from Barendrecht. Here comes Stroh down the inside the final 5 laps. Barendrecht's not going to give this one up. He's going to get in the back of him. There's contact. The front wing gets a little bit dislodged, but still he continues. He's okay for the moment. Look at this as he goes for the inside again. This is the fine margins. Barendrecht with a mistake, but Stroh trying to hold the outside. We're going to have 3 laps to go here, and this could be anyone's. It could be Pauletta's for all we know just yet, because he's brought himself back now within half a second, and he is motoring to get there. Now you start to think about Barendrecht. He's got to find an angle, and again, Timothy Stroh is doing enough. We're going to have a couple of popsicle sticks left now. 2 laps to figure out then here at Phoenix, and Stroh has been given a golden ticket in comparison to Thijs Barendrecht, who's trying to search, but has he done everything trying to keep himself afloat? And ultimately, he's found a fatal flaw in the plan. White flag comes out at Phoenix. Anyone in the wall from now, and this race is going to continue all the way to the checker. Stroh moving through 2 and in through 3 has done everything he needed to, kept the pressure up when he needed to the most, and he's made the reigning champion crack. It is going to be Stroh who picks it up. Barendrecht in the wall to finish 2nd, and Leonardo Pauletta will take 3rd. What an incredible race, and it's the one that got away for car number 1. Oh my goodness. Can you believe it? Here at Phoenix, it was the smallest of small mistakes that got it done inside the final 5 laps of this one. The race fell away from one Mr. Thijs Barendrecht, and Timothy Stroh, the championship leader, goes to victory lane and will do so by the tune of 0.4 of a second ahead of Thijs Barendrecht. Leonardo Pauletta will take 3rd with Ollie Peters 4th and Jeremy Pronk rounding out then the top 5. It is Fran Herrera who finishes in 6th after being the catalyst for the final caution of the day, with Alex Everett 7th, the gamble not paying off, along with Inigo Mardones in 8th place. They were the last finishers on the leading lap, with Logan Egan 1 lap down, 2 down for Ben Bennyworth, who had to make a second stop under green flag conditions. It was Dave Steadman spinning coming out of the pits to throw the second caution. Alfredo Morales in the wars, and Stephen Degrevalia out after just 7 laps worth of racing today. A very important battle it proved to be. A crucial fight it had to be. And the one smallest margin really does make a huge difference. We've got Tijs Barendrecht here with us, who finished off second overall. Tijs, it was just the smallest grab of the apron that cost you today.
I think it's just pain, Jake. It absolutely is pain. The best first 5 laps I've ever had in a race, where it went from P7 to P3, really good. And then I thought I had it in the bag, but Timothy was so good on the restart. Like the first 10-15 laps after the restart, he was so good. It was pushing me to the limit, and I couldn't really run the low line in turn 1 and 2, but I had to because it was so quick, and it was the fastest line, and then I just tapped the apron that tiny bit and had to get off the throttle, otherwise I would have crashed out. But at least I'm still second, but I'm absolutely gutted.
Well, it's a race for you, which I'm sure you can look back and say there's not much more that you could have done with where you started and where you managed to get yourself in through. But just talking about that sort of defence, do you feel like the stakes have been raised this season, that a lot of drivers around you have got better and you are having to race a lot more, I would say, aggressively, importantly, through these races to try and get yourself those really strong finishing?
Yeah, you really have to go for it. I feel like I'm pushed to the absolute limit I'm able to drive. I was actually really scared after quali because I did practice and I didn't have any pace compared to the other guys, and I found something in warm-up that I really enjoyed with the way the setup of the brake, the anti-roll bar and the weight checker, and I just was 2/10 quicker a lap just with one tap, with like one slight change, and it was really good, and I think that really helped. And then I was just pushing to the absolute limit, and like I would still be gutted, but I would be less gutted if like someone else than Timothy would have inherited the win like that, because Timothy he's so hard to beat, and I was like, oh yes, I'm finally out of him, and I'm gonna score more points than him, and that's really good for the championship. But now he still beat me.
Well, it's a case where you're on the back foot as defending champion. You go to Auto Club a week from today. Do you feel like Auto Club is going to be a little bit more chaotic than the short track defending that you had here today at Phoenix? It's very open. It's probably the most super speedway we're going to get to all season. How do you take that sort of track and try and take the moves you made today through the field and maybe compare them and try and say it's going to be a race of I'm going to probably have to make a lot of moves again, just like I did today?
Yeah, I know my quality isn't the strongest part of what I've done like the last few seasons, and I know I have to do the moves and how I do the moves. Sometimes I'm not really happy with them, the way sometimes I'm too over aggressive, but I think next week it's gonna be really aggressive. Like if I look at last season's Auto Club, it already was aggressive on the big tracks, also Michigan, but especially Auto Club, and I think it will be even more. And just staying out of trouble will be very important, especially there. As doing a pit stop on the green just lose you a lap, and it's almost impossible to get it back. And looking at the defending, as you said, like I think the defending, especially at the end of the race, will be really aggressive, as I and other people probably also did at the end of this race.
Well, the floor is yours, Tijs. Here, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done? P2 today.
Well, I really want to thank DRT again for helping me, and also DRA and the Mega Group. So let's head on to Auto Club next week.
To Auto Club it will be. Tijs Barendrecht there, finishing off second position overall. We are going to get a chance to jump in and speak to our race winner, Timothy Stroh. Tim, it looked there, especially in the final 10 laps, between 10 to 5 laps, that, you know, it was just starting to fall away. Tijs had it covered, but you kept the needle on there, you kept the pressure down, and you managed to break the reigning champion.
Yeah, I mean, I had pretty much resigned myself to second. I figured the only way I could make any time is if he made a mistake, and it's unfortunate for him, but yeah, I guess it's it benefits somebody, and I'm happy to be the beneficiary. So I can't complain. He ran a good race. He was fast, and thought I could get him on the restarts. And yeah, it seemed like after about 10 laps, tires would heat up, and just couldn't press him any further.
Well, it's just a case for you that you really had to throw everything at it there, because restart upon restart, you were picking up a place, you were electric on those opening 5 to 10 laps every time you were out there on a stint. But how does that, in terms of what was a very hectic race, especially at the start of the race with what happened to Dave and trying to get yourself into focus and that group of 4 that set itself off and away from everyone else, how important was it for you to really settle down, find that rhythm, and find that strategy that worked for you today?
Yeah, I mean, definitely very important. Thought it was going to be a fuel saving race there for a while. If we didn't get that last caution, or the second to last caution, I was going to come up a little bit short. So I wanted to kind of push pace and see where everybody else was, and then see what I could kind of dial it back a little bit to save fuel if I had to. So yeah, it was working pretty well, and then we got into the lap cars. I lost some positions. Then the first round of stops, pit stops aren't my strong point, so I lost some time on that. But yeah, we made it around and kind of got back into a good position where I thought could definitely challenge for the race win, and yeah, it worked out fortunately for us.
Certainly worked out for you. Of course, you came into this race as the championship leader, picking up all 3 of the bonus points. I'm sure that you're going to be happy knowing that you extend that gap at the top of the standings going to Auto Club. A lot more open, a lot more expansive, a lot more unpredictable it is going to be next week when we're racing. How are you going to find yourself then when it comes to the unpredictable nature of what is the big tracks when we race?
Yeah, it'll definitely be a pack race. I think it'll be good to have a teammate. Definitely be talking to Dave throughout the week and thinking about a strategy that we can have. And then, it's just keeping clean and making sure you got a car left for the last 5 laps and make sure you're in a good position to win the race. So it's always a bit of a roll of the dice in the speedways, but yeah, they're a lot of fun, and this group of guys has been clean, so that adds to it.
It certainly does. Before we let you go here, Tim, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done? It's a huge race win for you.
I'm going to shout out to Dave, teammate. Hard luck to him tonight. He designed the livery for both of our cars this year, so big thank you to him. All the race sponsors that make the series possible. Like I said, it's a lot of fun to race with these guys. Yeah, then wife and family, everyone who's watching, for supporting.
No worries at all there, Timothy Stroh. A huge win in the context of everything there, joining us here today. And finally, we're going to get ourselves a chance to speak to Logan Egan, who was a little bit down the field today, 1 lap down in 9th position. Logan, you'd say it's a tough race, especially with the contact that you had with Alfredo there towards the end, but a very difficult track to try and get your head around.
Yes, it is. It was a very difficult track today. It was something I wasn't used to. This is my first time in these cars here. It was just difficult. I couldn't figure out turn 4 until halfway through the race, and once I finally figured it out, I started really picking up the pace, and from there it was just head down and try to get my lap back.
Well, the head down you certainly did. The lap back, unfortunately, not possible, but as someone who jumps into this series for the first time, who's brand new for this season, how important has it been to sort of get up to pace, get an understanding and a feel for how these drivers drive around, and how to be someone who is a part of this series for someone new who could potentially be joining in?
I think it's very important to try to figure out these cars as fast as you can. Like last week at Homestead Miami, I was really off the pace. I was about 3 seconds off. This week, in preparation for this week, I did 220 lap test just to figure out where I can run throughout the race, figure out the pace line, and slowly but surely we're making headway on the pace laps, and we're looking for a top 10 finish now every week. I've proven I can do it, and so that's the goal for the rest of the season.
Certainly a good goal. Auto Club should be a little bit more of an open expanse in terms of a chance to really move up through. With the unpredictable nature of races like Auto Club, do you feel like people like you who have maybe struggled a little bit more with pace get a little bit more of an advantage, seeing as there's less time to be lost?
Yes, Auto Club, big track. I feel it's just like any other big track in iRacing or simulation racing. You could go to Talladega. It's a crapshoot. So I feel anybody in this field or any other field for that matter could go out to Auto Club and win. But yes, I do like my chances at Auto Club next week.
Well, hopefully those chances work well for you. Logan Egan there joining us then, finding off a ninth place finish ultimately between then and his race, and he'll be hoping for more next time that we visit you. And next time that we do here with Crest Autosport TV, be it on YouTube, be it on Facebook, be it on Twitch, make sure that you follow, you share the stream around and get people noticing just how great the racing is. We'll be jumping ourselves over to Fontana, California, as it will be Auto Club, where our next challenge will find ourselves in. A massive thanks has to go, of course, to all the sponsors that we have seen so far here today, from Track Racer, 603 Autosport, Digital Motorsport, Esports Sim, and the GP Box. On top of that, Apex Tracks, the motorsport and motor racing circuit wall art racetrack sculpture designers who manufacture using Formula One and motorsport-inspired rapid prototyping technologies. From everyone who has been getting it done, of course, from the crew at Crest Autosport, from William Foyle, and of course, to bring through some great racing, I've been Jake Sparey. It's one that got away, ultimately, for Tijs Barendrecht, and my goodness, would he want that one back come the end of the season. It's a lot of racing to go from there, but one thing is for certain, Timothy Stroh is not just on a stroll. He is on an absolute tear through these races. Catch him if you can. Fontana is next. We'll see you there 1 week from today.